Hello aspirants and welcome again to Legacy IAS Academy. In this current affairs lecture, we will be discussing the shrinking of the US economy for the very first time in the last 3 years. Now, very interestingly, this is of course a news because in the last 3 years it has shrank, but it is being more popularized because of the reasoning that was given by the present president of the United States of America, that is Mr. Donald Trump. He has said that its economy is not decreasing because of or shrinking because of his policies, but rather due to the ex-president of USA, that is Mr. Joe Biden. So let's see what the reality is, what the reason behind it is, what is the shrinking of the economy, how and when does it happen, so on and so forth. So let's get started. So what's the news? As I said, President Donald Trump has said that the economy, the data was shown in front of him that the economy has shrank for the first time in the last 3 years. So he mentioned that this is not my economy, this is Joe Biden's economy, and it has failed because of the policies etc. that were implemented by him. So what is the amount of shrinkage that we are talking about? It has shrunk by 0.3%. What is the time period that we are talking about? We are talking about the time period of the first quarter of this new financial year in the USA. It has shrank by 0.3%. So what is shrinking? We'll also see actually what the reasons can be. Is Joe Biden actually responsible for it, or is it something else at play over here? Before that, let's understand what is shrinking. So the economy, when you talk about the size of the economy, it is the GDP, that is the gross domestic product that you're talking about. What is gross domestic product? This is the total output in monetary terms. So it's the total value of the final goods and services that is produced within the boundary of a particular country. So US's GDP would be the total value of the final goods and services that the US produces within its boundary. Now it can be produced by US citizens or by foreigners who are producing it within the boundary of USA. That is the concept of GDP. Now this GDP can grow, yes. So when it grows, it has a growth rate. So the growth rate, let's say for example for India, it's 6.4%. Now for other different countries, different growth rates are there. So the economy grows with a growth rate. So what happens? The GDP from 100, if it becomes 105, there's a growth rate of 5%. But instead of from 100, it becomes 95, for example. So it is not growing. It is not even constant, but it has shrunk. That means it has reduced. So when there is reduction, there will be shrinkage. Shrinkage means there will be a reduction in the size of the economy. Earlier it was 100 units big, now it is just 95. This means that here there is no growth rate, or if you want to say that there is a growth rate, it is a negative growth rate. So you can say the economy is having a negative growth rate. That is when shrinking happens. So if you look at the US economy, this thing happened in March 2022, but since then there has been growth. Now the growth is not consistent in the sense that the growth rate is not consistent. It is having its ups and downs. It is ranging from 0.2% to 4.4%. But it has always been blue, or it has been increasing in the last 3 years. But recently what has happened is it has again shrunk, which was seen in March 2022 in the US. So it is quarterly analysis we are talking about. So in the first quarter of 2025, the US economy has shrank for the first time in the last 3 years. So what are the reasonings given? One reason, of course, was that it was due to Joe Biden. Second, he also bashed the Federal Reserve, right? And he has also bashed the Federal Reserve. Now presently he is in charge, but previously there are certain decisions which he did not elaborate in detail, but mentioned that these two are the reasons for it. He has also mentioned the same in a tweet. Now, what is the present situation and the future prospect? So Donald Trump also talked about the present situation and the future prospect. So he has said that tariffs will soon start kicking in, and when it does, it is going to benefit the US citizen and the US as a country. So it will start moving it into the record numbers. The USA economy will go into the record numbers, is what he's saying. So presently we are just discussing what he's saying. That's when later on we'll analyze whether that's correct or not. He also asked the American consumers to be patient and to adapt to his sweeping tariff policy. So he has asked the American citizens to be patient and to adopt to the tariff policy which basically he has come up with. Now, let's now come up to the analysis by the experts. So what are experts saying? Are experts also saying that it's Biden's fault? It's Biden's fault? Absolutely not. They are talking about the contraction which reflects the effect of Trump's policies on the American economy. So they are very clear that this is nothing but the impact of Donald Trump's policy on the USA economy. And what policy are they specifically focusing on? They are focusing on reciprocal tariff. At the same time, they also talk about it is not just reflecting this, but also it made a stark reversal after 3 years of robust growth. So last 3 years the growth was robust, and all of a sudden if it is reversing, probably it's not the previous leader in charge, but rather the policy of the present president of USA. And in specific, they are talking about the reciprocal tariff. So what is this reciprocal tariff? So first understand the tariff. So when you talk about tariff, in international trade, the concept of tariff is used. A country exports as well as imports. So let's say USA is exporting to India. So when USA exports, right, it exports to India. For India, this becomes import. So India would want to safeguard its own industry so that Indians use Indian products more and not USA products. India imposes tariffs, right? Let's say 100% of tariff, or let's say 50% of tariff. That means what? Any import that is coming from USA which would have cost rupees 100 in India will now cost an additional 50%. That means it is going to cost 150 rupees. Why? Because tariffs have been imposed. So this makes that good costly in India. Now, in the same manner, when India is going to export its goods and services, let's say goods to USA, USA will impose some tariffs on Indian goods. So let's say USA imposes a tariff of 20%. So it will be of 120 rupees. That 100 rupees thing will become 120 rupees. Now, this 50 rupees here goes to the Indian government. This 20 rupees here goes to the US government, right? Now, if there is just one single product with one single tariff rate by India and by USA, what will happen is India will earn 50 rupees of tariff, USA will earn just 20 rupees of tariff. So USA is sort of having a deficit of trade with India because of the difference in tariff. So that's when USA will come up with a reciprocal tariff. Reciprocal tariff means what? The percentage of tariff which is required to be imposed on the Indian exports so that the USA does not face any trade deficit with India. So how much should be the tariff in this case? It should be also 50%. This is reciprocal tariff. Now, in all the cases, it need not necessarily be the same. This tariff is such a tariff, when imposed, it will lead to ensuring that the deficit is coming down to zero. So here, if it is 50%, it will come down to zero. So what is reciprocal tariff? They are calculated as the tariff rate that is necessary to balance the bilateral trade deficit between a country and each of the trading partner. Balance the trade deficit means to make it zero. If it's in your favor, turn it into my favor by the same amount so that the balance is ultimately zero. I hope that's absolutely clear. And now, to the statements that was made by Donald Trump, who is a Republican, the Democrats have also responded by saying that this is not Biden's economy. It was there till December 2024. Since January onwards, it is your economy. So please stop blaming. So why this to and fro? Of course, the ruling and the opposition party. At the same time, Donald Trump, as I said, is a Republican. Represented by elephant, and Joe Biden, who was there, he was a Democrat. So what is this concept of Republican and Democrat? The entire United States of America is divided into two major parties that are there, and the followers of those parties follow those principles. So you have the Republicans represented by Donald Trump, you have Democrats. Earlier President Joe Biden was a Democrat. So what are their philosophy or their theories or their principles? Republicans are sort of conservative, whereas Democrats are liberals. And there are various issues on which they are completely opposite to each other. Let's have a quick look at that for specifically for your prelims and mains examination. So in Republican, they have higher increase in military spending. Conservative nature, deglobalization, etc. will happen, higher spending, lower increase in military spending. See, military spending may keep on increasing, but the increase is low, the spend will be less. This does not mean that they stop it completely, but they lower it. They oppose gun control laws. It means that they want the guns to be freely available, easily accessible, whereas they want more gun control laws so that the guns can be controlled more and it is difficult for you to purchase and acquire a gun. They are anti-abortion, so basically they are pro-life. Conservative, pro-life, anti-abortion, they are pro-choice, so they are in favor of abortion. The female should have a choice to abort children, right? So they are pro-choice. Mainly oppose the gay marriages. Again, remember, conservative, right? They support gay marriages. Less tax for the wealthy, capitalist economy nature, higher taxes for higher incomes. Less support for immigration, greater support for immigration. Disagree with climate change, believe in climate change. This is a disagreement in climate change. In fact, when Donald Trump was the president the last time around, he had walked out of the Paris climate change agreement as well. So these are the major differences. Specifically, remember anti-abortion and pro-choice for your ethics paper as well. It cannot in the context of USA, but generally also those ethical questions can come up. So these are the difference between the two, and we have understood that Donald Trump has made a statement, but the real reason lies in the policies that he's coming up with, specifically the reciprocal tariff policy. Thank you.